KCAU 9 Sports.
What's poppin', everyone? Welcome back to sports. The college football season kicked off with Iowa State against Kansas State in a classic Farmageddon matchup. But this time, almost 3,900 miles away in Dublin, Ireland. It was quite a different setting to begin the season for American football, but the stands were still packed with fans excited to see two ranked rivals battle head-to-head. It was a slow start for both teams, but it was the Cyclones who scored first with Dominic Overby, creating separation downfield for the first touchdown of the season. Later, tie ball game in the second, Rocco Besch drops back and drops a dime into the hands of Brett Eskildson to put the Cyclones back on top. About midway through the fourth, Cyclones up 17-14. Besch takes the snap and keeps it himself to make it a two-score game. The Wildcats would score again, but the Cyclones ran out the clock to win this one 24-21. The X's returned home from Sioux Falls to host the Canaries in a game that saw an extra inning. Slow start for both teams in the first two innings, but the heat turned up in the third. Down 4-1, runner on first, Henry George sends this one over the wall in right field, bringing home Austin Davis as well as himself to cut down the deficit down to 1. But they weren't done just yet. Josh Day pops one right into the sweet spot in right field, giving Zach Vuletic enough time to make it home, once again making it a tie ball game. This game would lead to an extra inning where the Canaries put the game on ice. Winning 8-6, the X's will be back on Tuesday night for the second of this final regular season 4-game home stretch. After a 4-2 start last season, their best season since 2020, the Chicago Bears went on to lose 10 consecutive games, finishing their season 5-12. With new head coach Ben Johnson, hopes are high in the Windy City. However, they got their work cut out for them after a rough preseason showing. The Bears offense overcoming a slow start in their preseason win over the Chiefs after 3 drives, just 3 points, with QB Caleb Williams missing receiver Rome Odunze in the end zone. What looked like the end of their night. But after Kansas City pulled its starters, head coach Ben Johnson kept his in, and it paid off. Williams led a 7-play, 78-yard, 2-minute drive, finishing with that touchdown to Odunze, an encouraging response. But Williams knows that slow start has to be cleaned up.
Something like that happens early in the game, it's not what we want, especially in our openers. Those are typically plays that we've gone over multiple times, and having those issues is frustrating, and definitely need to fix that. But that's a big point of why we practice, why we have preseason and things like that, to be able to get more reps, have those moments, be able to have a moment like that, and be able to learn from it and correct it.
The Monsters of the Midway will host NFC North rival Vikings in Week 1 on September 8th. Now, the Vikings have begun their post-preseason moves with a few transactions in the QB room. The Vikes have signed former NDSU standout and Super Bowl winning quarterback Carson Wentz. He has had his best season with the Philadelphia Eagles in 2017, but tore his ACL in December of that season. Since then, he has bounced around the league and most recently served as the backup quarterback with the Kansas City Chiefs. Along with this move, the Vikings dealt Sam Howell to the Eagles in a deal that includes 3 future draft picks. The Norfolk Catholic Knights ascended to the top of the Class C2 Mountain for the 3rd season in a row, ending the year with an undefeated state championship run to extend its win streak to 39 games. Norfolk Catholic is up next for 2-a-days. The Knights are refreshed and reloaded headed into 2025. Hall of Fame head coach Jeff Beller has tons of experience in the reins, most notably an offensive tackle Leighton Burbash. The 6'8" senior is a 3-star prospect and ranked as the 4th best player in the state. He's headed to the Big Ten to play for Northwestern next season. Also in the mix is senior quarterback Callan Marshall, who threw for over 1,600 yards and 23 touchdowns with only 2 picks. Acknowledging the attention that garner as the defending champs, Norfolk Catholic is embracing the pressure and the opportunity that comes with it.
The expectation is always to go 13-0 and win a state championship, but we can't always be perfect. Maybe we have a breakdown here and there, but the expectation stays the same, 13-0, win every game.
They understand. Everybody wants to beat us. We get that because we've rolled through 39 games in a row of winning. So, but I hope they understand that we'll get ready and we'll try to play well. If you don't win, I've coached long enough to not win games, and the sun usually comes up the next day, and you kind of go through the process again of getting ready and trying to get better. So that's really what we're after.
The Knights kick off the season with one of the biggest games in Siouxland. It's a rematch of last season's Class C2 title game at home against Bishop Neumann on Friday, August 29th. Norfolk Catholic took down the Cavaliers in Week 1 last season in a 28-21 win on the road. Now, for the third time in the last 5 seasons, the Kingsley Pearson Panthers football program will be moving classes. Despite the change, KP remains locked in on the path ahead as they're our next team up for two-a-days. Kingsley Pearson returns to the 8-player level following its split from River Valley and a 2-year stint in Class A. The Panthers battled to a 4-4 record, winning 3 of those games by 1 possession. Head coach Travis Newman brings a treasure trove of experience back, led by quarterback Landon Howe. The senior totaled just under 1,400 yards and 16 scores for the Panthers, who will also have impact rusher and pass catcher Tyler Cook for another season. Of course, game plans may be impacted with a change to 8-man football, but the team is keeping its principles the same.
I think we gotta focus on ourselves. We gotta be able to step on the field and execute the game plan that we have set in place. Everybody's got talent. Everybody's got great players. We have to go out there and we have to execute our game plan. And as long as we execute our game plan, I think that's going to put us in a position to win a lot of football games this year. Every night we're going to have to go out there and we're going to have to compete to our best ability. We got the talent to compete with a lot of teams. It's now just going to be taking that talent and putting it on the field and playing consistently.
We're just trying to improve week by week, day by day. We haven't really looked too much into the season. We're just focusing on game 1 and we'll see how it goes from there.
Now, KP kicks off the season on the road at Bishop Garrigan on Friday, August 29th, in the first meeting between the 2 programs. Football season being back is exciting, but other sports are still taking the field. The X's finished up their short road trip tonight up in Sioux Falls, and the X's unfortunately dropped this one, losing 5-3 to the Canaries. However, shortstop Josh Day had himself a little bit of a day with a hit, ribby, and run. Henry George 3 for 4 on 1 RBI. The Canaries will follow the X's back home for a Sunday night matchup at Lewis and Clark Park.
And Alex, the Bears have a lot of good young talent, but they play in arguably the toughest division in football when you got the Detroit Lions, the Packers, and the Vikings. So it's going to be a tough year for the Bears no matter what.
Yeah, that's a tough playoff competition conference right there.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you, Alex.